But in the end, everything I said here, it has no truth or no validity to it unless you validate it for yourself in your direct experience. So really, all that I'm suggesting you do is I suggest that you turn your life into a scientific investigation, into a scientific experiment. And the aim of your experiment is to simply figure out what is reality, what is consciousness, what is life, and how do I live the good life? How do I live the best life possible? These are the 4 or 5 key questions you need. And as long as you're deeply curious about these questions and you contemplate them every day and you really desire answers to them, that's really enough. From that, you will be able to derive everything else that I said here. Might take you 20, 30, 40 years. You'll have to go through hell to do it the way that I did, but eventually you'll do it. And hey, what else is there to do in life? Have you got a better plan? Have you got a better idea? What are you going to do? Are you going to spend the next 10, 20 years working some dead-end job, coming back home dead tired, turning on Netflix and sitting there crashing for 3 hours, falling asleep, and then doing it over the next day and doing that over and over and over again until you're dead, until you're fat, until you're 50 pounds overweight, until you hate your life, until you're miserable, until you're numb, until you can barely feel your own body anymore. You're stuck in your logical mind. And this is what your life becomes. Are you going to be lazy with your life? Or are you going to be proactive? Are you going to treat it like the miracle that it is? Or are you going to numb that out of your mind by watching TV? Or browsing online endlessly through social media? I think a lot of people simply don't take life seriously. And I don't mean seriously in the sense that, like, a lot of people will go and be serious about becoming a lawyer or a doctor, or they'll be serious about starting a business and earn lots of money. I don't mean that. That to me, that's still not serious. I mean, there are many people who are so unserious they just work at Starbucks and watch Netflix. Then there's a little bit more serious people who actually start businesses and become doctors and lawyers. And then there's the really serious people. The really serious people are the ones who are metaphysically serious. That means they're actually serious about questioning consciousness itself and how you got here and what you're doing here and actually trying to figure out life. These are the philosophers. They are the really serious ones. Now, of course, there's a lot of bullshit philosophers as well. But when you do philosophy right, when you really deeply contemplate and question reality, it's not a mental masturbation exercise the way that some people think. It produces genuine results. So when I started doing philosophy when I was about 16 or 17 years old, many people around me, like when I told them that I enjoy philosophy, they would say, "Oh, philosophy, that's some airy-fairy bullshit. That's not practical. That's not useful." My parents would tell me that. They would make fun of me. Various friends and sort of colleagues that I had would also treat philosophy in this very dismissive way. It's like, "Oh, philosophy is just some ancient Greek shit that they did thousands of years ago. That doesn't work anymore. There's no point to it. It's just like an intellectual exercise, right?" No. In 20 years, I used philosophy to completely unravel the entire mystery of the universe, and I've completely figured it out. Now, of course, I still have more to do. I'm not going to be so arrogant as to say that my work is done. There's still a ton of work ahead of me, but I've reached the point where, like, literally, it sounds arrogant to say, but I've reached the point where I've completely figured out the universe. That's possible. I mean, and all that it required was a utterly, radically open mind and enough curiosity and passion and the desire to do it. Like, to me, that was the point of life. There was no other point in life. other than figuring it out. Everything else was a fun distraction, nice little sideshow. Of course, I did all that stuff. The sex, the money, the business. Oh yeah, I did that, and I'm still doing that to some degree, and it's fun and all that. But this is all a sideshow. I was serious about life very early on, and I would suggest as my final advice to you is get serious about life. Get metaphysically serious about life. Figure out what life is. Figure out why you're here. Figure out what it's all about. These are not aimless questions that have no answers. And this is not just purely subjective speculation where it's like, oh yeah, well, Leo says life is about love, but somebody else says life is about this, and somebody else thinks it's about that, and some Christian person says it's this. No. You can actually get to the absolute truth of the matter. You can get to the bottom of what life is about. And I hope one day you do.